So hello everybody. Today I've got John White with me, and as my followers probably know, I've been using the Spooky 2 machine recently, which is a Rife machine, and John has agreed to come on today and help us to understand some basics about the machine, perhaps help us decide which one we want to use and why we might want to use it. So John, could we just start off by you introducing yourself and your connection to this Spooky 2 manufacturing process?
Certainly. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for inviting me onto your channel. It's a privilege to be interviewed by you. Well, I actually started Spooky. I started Spooky long time ago. How many years now? 9 years, something like that, a long time ago. And it started small, where I was building spooky equipment basically in the garage. So it started at base level, if you like. But what I had was something which had a lot of potential. And the more people that became involved with Spooky, the more it grew. And Spooky has grown very fast because the underlying concept is to improve people's lives, make people live more fruitful lives. That's true. I see you laughing there. It's true.
No, actually, John, I've had this machine 4 months, and it's been running in my lounge for 2 months.
Yes.
And the change it's made to my life is just, I mean, I don't want to discuss all my own personal medical information, but the things that it's helped me with that I've had going on for a long time is a testimonial in itself. So One thing I have been telling people is that I had chronic migraines all my life. I mean, the doctors and things haven't known really what to do about it. And since I've been using, the Spooky machine, the levels of that have gone right down to almost minimal. And I think that the more I get used to the programs on it and I understand it better, because obviously I'm learning as I go, I think we're probably going to be able to eliminate that. But one of the questions that I'm getting asked a lot, John, since I put out a little spoiler video for everybody yesterday, they wanted to know why it's called Spooky 2.
Right. Well, the first accessory that we had was a device that allowed treatments to be performed remotely, which means while you're on holiday, while you're surfing on the surfboard or swimming or doing something wild out there, you're receiving life-giving frequencies. You're getting a treatment, and it's bioremote. It's working through quantum entanglement. Now, Einstein coined the phrase spooky action at a distance. So in a way, he gave us the name Spooky.
I see. So it was an Einstein quote that took you to this Spooky.
Yes.
And he was talking about quantum entanglement. Yes. Yeah. And this is something that I actually had to go and look up recently because I wasn't sure what that meant. But my understanding of quantum entanglement is that when I'm using the machine, first of all, I took a scan of my body by using the machine, and what I had was these. I use these stickers that you have.
Yes.
And I had one on my arm like that, and one on my ankle, and I just attached it to your Spooky machine, and I sat down and relaxed for probably about an hour, maybe a bit longer, I'm not sure. And then at the end of that, the machine had taken information like from my body, and it had taken a biofeedback scan.
That's right.
And then after it's done the scan, what you can do is you can take a piece of your DNA, which I took a piece of my nail, and you can put it into the remote part of the machine. And then it sends to your piece of DNA the healing that you need based on the scan that it's just taken of your body.
And doesn't that sound crazy? Doesn't that sound crazy?
It does sound crazy. And at first I thought, well, you know, this can't be right. So I actually tried a test on it. And what I did was I told it that I couldn't sleep. And I ran the sleep program at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And well, I had to go to bed at like 5:30, 6 in the evening because my eyes couldn't stay awake. And then I slept like straight through, which I never do. I'm one of these people that wakes up maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm doing emails. And this sleep program, it had sent me to sleep. And then I can feel it sometimes when I'm out walking my dogs. So I know that it's still approaching me, because when the machine gets switched off, you can feel the difference.
You can.
So it's not like anything dramatic is happening. You just get a sense of well-being, or that's how it's been affecting me.
You know, it's funny you say that you found that. When I was first developing the system, I was working in conjunction with a gentleman that argued black and blue that it worked. And my engineering background says, no, this guy's wrong, just so wrong on so many levels. And for a whole year, this dispute raged on. But I had an open mind. I said to him, what can I do to prove that it works? He tells me to perform these experiments. They failed. And then he'd say, yes, but duh, you haven't done this. And so I try something different that doesn't work either. And I was convinced that he was wrong, absolutely convinced, because who on earth would believe that you could do such a thing? Not me.
Just incredible. And also, when I run because I have 4 dogs and a cat, and they all like to sleep with me in the evening, you know, on the bed. So in the winter, when like we are now, with all the windows closed and the heating on, I end up with a lot of this sort of sinusitis, you know, very dry tubes. So I've been running, in addition to what the feedback scan found, I've been putting on the sinusitis program and the pet dander program and the dust mite program. And so that then sends out a frequency to the dust mites, and it gets rid of them. It tells them to stop breeding, or I don't know, does it kill them, or does it just stop them developing? I'm not sure. But I think that in itself has been such a big relief for me, because I'm not having that dry sensation through my sinuses all through the winter. So this is like another example of where every winter I'm suffering. But since I've been running the programs on your machine, it's really helping me. Now, what about the anti-aging, John? Do you think it's working? We've got an anti-aging program. I'm really 104.
I was going to say I'm picking you at maybe mid-20s or so. Well, we're covering a lot of ground. You know, just listening to you talk about how you're addressing health issues that you have or concerns. What you're doing, Michelle, is taking control over your own health. I think more and more people are realizing that to not just live a long life, but a quality life, they've got to start making their own decisions and decide what sort of foods they eat and how they're going to resolve health issues that they may already have. Yes. And what you're doing, you're a perfect role model for people like, you know, that have up to now perhaps been paying their £60 for their 15-minute episode with the doctors who seem incredibly interested in their health and well-being. But as soon as they go, they leave the doctor's surgery, they're suddenly concerned about someone else, and then you're forgotten about, basically. Instead of being part of a business, your health is the most important asset that you have. And so what you're doing is actually addressing those concerns yourself, and now you're seeing the real benefits of that. It may not be.
The most amazing thing I think about your machine is it has so many programs for everything. So even if somebody doesn't consider themselves to be particularly unwell, it has all these balancing programs in there to do with your chakras, your kundalini, the Schumann resonance. I mean, even if you just wanted to work on, say, your third eye, there's a third eye program. I mean, I just never, when I bought the machine, I didn't expect it to have this wealth of things that it could do. I mean, really, anything you can think of, you type it in and there is a frequency for it. I mean, it's just an incredible piece of equipment.
Well, that's because Spooky is so large now and so many people are contributing. Spooky isn't a business, Michelle. That's not why we do it. If we wanted to make money, we'd do something else and probably make a lot more money. What we do it for is for a passion. We do it because we really, really want to make a big change in the world. We've seen other companies with good intentions change halfway because they start looking, oh gosh, profit, and there's money to be made in sickness, a lot of money. And yet we see it all the time where the temptation of this, money and profit drive changes the goal. And then you can see it in the products and their business model. It's just what we want with Spooky is to sell products as cheap as possible so people can afford them and they can buy them. But it's still the very, very best you can buy at any price. But not just that, Michelle, but we work on the databases, on the presets and everything. So people that have bought products when we first started are still each week can get updates with the DNA database or the presets that we release. We are very, very, very serious about health. Very serious.
This is actually interesting what you're saying, because there are other machines out there where people are not getting the updates for free, and if they get the machine which doesn't do remote things like we're talking about, you actually have to carry it with you all the time, so it's a little bit more cumbersome. But what can happen with those machines are you buy the machine and then anything you want to do in addition to what comes with the package, you're paying for each month as an add-on. So it becomes very expensive. And then the other people that have approached me about affiliateships, their prices are staggering. People would really struggle. I mean, some of the prices that are coming through is almost like buying a second home, to buy a piece of equipment that, in my opinion, probably doesn't run anything much different to what you're doing with this machine, in my opinion, when I've looked at what they're doing. So would you like to explain to people what this system is doing? Because we've talked about its frequencies, but the word I think we normally use is rifing. Could you explain that concept to people that are very new to this?
Well, long time ago in a galaxy far away called Earth, well, there's a gentleman in the early 1900s called Royal Raymond Rife. He discovered that bugs, viruses, bacteria, they all respond to specific frequencies. If you don't get the frequency right, then the destructive energy from the frequencies doesn't transfer properly to the bug that you want to stomp out.
Right.
And he of course, the medical establishment at that time wasn't quite so strict as it is now. And they actually gave him some backing. And he did a trial with 16 terminally ill cancer patients. These were people with cancer that were told to go home and die. He took them into his trial and he treated them using his machine. I think it was in the 1930 or 1931, that sort of time.
Wow.
So it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, after that trial, all 16 of those people were cleared of cancer.
Wow. And they were deemed terminally ill.
Terminally ill, not just, cancerous.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is.
And so has this technology been suppressed, do you think? up
Well,
until
this is
now.
what's even more incredible from what was happening then, is what's happened since then. His trial was initially denied by the medical establishment until photos were published in the newspapers showing doctors celebrating before they were given the letter to say, look, we want it hushed up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, Michelle, I can put a lot of energy into saying how things are being suppressed and these people are evil. But the bottom line is we have a problem now. Between 1931 and now, 90 years. What progress have we had?
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, Spooky, I created Spooky to make that change, right?
Yes.
Not keeping on to power and grabbing onto profits and money and making ourselves big and huge and everything. Sorry, that's tautology, isn't it? No, my goal is to give power to the people. Pay me some money, I give you a machine. I don't want any more money.
No.
It's your machine. You've bought it. It's yours.
Yeah.
And all these wonderful programs and presets that make you look young and make you live longer and better and healthier and have your energy.
Yeah.
That's just a gift from, gift to humanity from Spooky. This is just what we do. I get
So
all
John,
the time, Michelle.
John, when you set the frequencies up for, say, let's say somebody has an autoimmune problem. Let's say they have Lyme disease or something like that. When the frequencies are beaming onto you or through you or around you, how do they not harm the good cells in your body? How do they know where to go to stop the bad viruses and pathogens? How do they know the difference between what is a good thing and a bad thing?
It's all to do with resonance, Michelle. Resonance means you can target cells. There can be 3 cells side by side. This is an example. I can pick the center cell and I can destroy it, or I can make it stronger by doing mitochondrial frequencies and leave the other 2 untouched.
That's incredible.
It's like tuning a radio. If you tune a radio, you're not picking up all the radio stations at once.
No.
You go one station, then the other one. You can pick which station you listen to.
Absolutely fascinating, really, isn't it? Absolutely fascinating.
But it's a real shame, that. I mean, it's not really difficult to understand. It can't be poo-pooed because it's a fact. Every time you use a radio, you're using harmonics.
Everything is frequency. Everything is frequency. So the next question I have is, let's say you don't actually know what's wrong with you. You just feel unwell. You've been to the doctor and they don't really know what it is. And they give you a label of it's a chronic something or other.
Yes.
How could the machine help you to maybe identify what's going on so that you can ask it for what you need?
You know the answer to this, Michelle, because you've done it. The biofeedback, where you can do scans. And you can scan between a broad range of frequencies. And what Spooky does is detect which frequencies your body needs and which ones to target all these freeloaders that are in your body.
Yeah.
After you run consecutive biofeedbacks over the course of a few weeks, you think back and you think, how on earth did I really live? How did I enjoy life? Because all of a sudden you've got this energy and it's like looking through different eyes, and things that were enjoyable before become so much more enjoyable. And you're living without these aches and pains, which you are told by doctors is because, rheumatoid arthritis. It's like the old joke where this person goes to the doctor, I've got a sore knee. Oh, it's because you're old. It can't be that reason, because it's only one knee and not the other knee. The other knee's just the same age. They put labels on things. So they've got tablets which are designed for, if you've got rheumatoid arthritis, you take this tablet, and as sure as anything, that tablet won't be for solving the problem.
No.
It'll be for reducing the pain, the aches, it'll be controlling the problem. Because the very last thing you want to do in a business model is to get rid of your customers, right? You want as many customers as you can. And so this is what they do.
They do. It's a business. It's a big pharma business. You're exactly right.
Crazy.
So at the moment, talking of big pharma, with everything that's going on in the world right now with the C19, a lot of people would be interested. Well, in fact, I was interested to see that in your programs, you actually have programs running to help with C19. And not only that, but you also have frequencies for some of the more controversial treatments that have been a bit suppressed recently. One of them being, and because I can't say the actual word through censorship, is that horse medicine, which begins with I, Ivor.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. So I was really, and also I saw that it can detox graphene oxide, which is another thing people are worried about right now with these going on. I also saw that you have all the vitamins that are being sort of spoken about at the moment, like your vitamin D levels, your vitamin C, your zinc, everything that is being promoted to help you be healthier right now with this C19 thing going on. All the frequencies are actually in the machine. So you can just program the machine to run every day to be on the lookout for what's going on right now to help your body to sustain a level of health within itself so that you don't succumb to anything that might be going on around you.
Right.
So when I saw that and I realized that you could send a frequency for horse medicine, which is the Ivor, and then I can't say the rest of it because of censorship. I just couldn't believe it, actually, John. I couldn't believe how amazing this machine is and everything it can do.
Yes, we want to give the best chance of people, for people to live healthy lives, and we've got the C19 problem at the moment. So of course we're trying to find the best way for people to pass through this pandemic unscathed. Another issue which I'd like to mention is just the speed at which the C19 is changing, with new variations coming out all the time. Now, if the spooky corporation, me, if I didn't give a toss and I was just looking after my pockets, I'd have a C19 program and just leave it at that. But I realize it's changing all the time. It's really changing fast. So every week I update with the very latest strains, the frequencies of the C19, just circulating right up to the minute of when I release it.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Because I want the best tools. I want the relevant information. There's a lot of C19 strains that are now extinct. They've died out because the other stronger strains have taken over. So why have them in there? So I have all the ones that are making people's lives miserable at the moment.
So as the strains on the variants are evolving, so are your programs to match it. And how do you get the updates? Do you just download it from your site?
Yes, people can go to get the weekly updates. They go to cancerclinic.co.nz.
Wow.
Go to the downloads there. You'll see every week new C19 presets, new C19 frequencies in the database, and a whole ton of other stuff. I'll just go on a bit of a tangent, but we'll put a marker here and we'll come back. It's all working on the structure of the DNA, where how we derive the frequencies. Now, this information was protected through patents, and it was commercial. It's commercialized as an income model. I improved over the period of time the procedure of deriving the frequencies from the structural dimensions of the DNA to the point where it's actually much better. And I actually proved the other one wasn't really, it's kind of hit and miss. I proved it was wrong. And before anyone could copy and patent what I'd come up with, this is me personally, I released it. I published it on my website and elsewhere, and I put a disclaimer at the bottom saying this is now public domain. It cannot be protected. It cannot be used by someone to, well, they can earn money if they want, but they can't protect it and hide that information from people. That was the first step. Then I went through all the major and quite a few minor health problems that people have, and I'm adding to it all the time. And I grouped all the pathogens. Pathogens are the bugs that cause issues. For all the issues like migraine, like Lyme, you'll see a Lyme preset, which has got all the DNA frequencies. And I grouped them all together. So people just have to click on one button and then go. And they know that they've got all the very, very latest frequencies for all the bugs that cause Lyme, or all the bugs that, you know, do other diseases as well. There's a lot of them. So they can see this paper on my website. Because it's open, a lot of top scientists have gone through it. Picky holes, you know, not a whisper back. It's solid. It's solid science, because my background's engineering. I wanted to make sure that all the, you know, the I's were dotted and the T's crossed. I wanted to give something to humanity. So now there is a way that people can make their own frequencies up, or they can use Spooky. And so that was the tangent there.
This is what people need to hear, so that they understand how it works and where it's come from, and what the company background is all about, and where you're coming from. And the word humanity there rings very true for me right now, you know, because we have to be helping everybody at this time in whatever ways we can. And the question I was going to ask you next was, and I've been asked this a lot over the last sort of few weeks as people have become more interested. They keep asking me, which model should they choose, you know, when they're just starting out? You know, how do they decide which package they need? What's the starting point? What's your advice for that?
Well, I've got a confession to you, Michelle, and this is what it is. I am the world's worst salesperson, to the point, honestly, where I can tell you what is good for targeting diseases and things, but I'm not sure which kit to recommend. I do know that we have like a beginner's kit, which has got, I might even be wrong with this, but I think it's got one generator, contact pads, or something like this. Yeah, but I can't reel off.
Look, John, I've actually got the kit here. I can actually
so this is where you can teach me.
I can show people what's inside. You get lots of different goodies in this kind of package. So you get the generator arrive.
Yes.
And it's got the pads, as I said. Yeah. And it's got these other options for things, like this is a wristwatch that you could like put on here to do your feedback or your scan. And it's got a little thing that you put on your finger to take your heartbeat. And it's not as scary as it looks. It's actually quite easy to set it. It's quite easy to set up. Yes. You just put this on your finger. You put your pads on your arm and your leg. You plug it all into the generator. You tell the program to run a biofeedback scan. And then once it's done that, you clip off a bit of nail or a bit of hair, put that into the remote system, and it will then send the frequencies to you through what we said earlier, the quantum entanglement. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can actually, this is my understanding, John, if you don't want to have it on remote, you want it perhaps to be a bit more powerful, you can have the healing frequencies being directed at you by putting those pads back on. Is that correct?
Yes, you can. Yes, absolutely.
Right. And does that make it more powerful if you've got the pads on while you're having a treatment?
And now we've had two versions of remote. In the Spooky Remote version 1, contact mode was more powerful. It's one or the other.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't generally use both at the same time, but you can.
Okay.
But with Spooky Remote version 2, which is the version that everyone has now, it's about the same. So it's as
Oh,
if
okay.
you're in contact mode.
So you can just put something in the remote and you can go on with your life. You don't have to be hooked up to anything, and you're just
Yes.
getting this level of frequency as if you had your pads on
That's
your
right.
arm. Wow.
It works through quantum entanglement, where the
Yeah.
DNA in the sample communicates directly with the DNA
Yeah.
in your body. But
Yeah.
don't use your hair, because your hair doesn't have
Oh,
DNA. Use your nails. Use your
yeah.
nails.
I have been using my nail actually. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It sounded like you had for the results that you've been getting from the
Okay.
treatments. Because that was one of the mistakes I made when I first was arguing with this gentleman so many years ago that remote doesn't work, because at that time I had hair and I was using it and it didn't work. And so I came to know that the hair does not contain viable DNA.
But it's better to have, say, a piece of fingernail or perhaps some saliva or something like that.
Saliva is wonderful as well. The good thing about nails, Michelle, is that it lasts a long time, like
Yeah.
thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't need
So
to keep on
once you've done one
replacing.
clipping, you can use that one clipping for a long period of time. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So another question I've been getting from people is, can you use it on your pets? And could you just
Yes,
like put their toenail in the
absolutely.
remote? You could.
Oh,
That's
of course.
wow.
Well, pets are family, and this is a family device. No, we are animals. There's no difference biologically, apart from a few small details between us and
Yeah.
cats and dogs and horses. A lot of people do this. They treat their animals or their pets because their pets may be unwell. But the difficulty, I guess, Michelle, is that a lot of the diseases that our lovely pets get are caused by slightly different bugs, and
Yeah.
so or different types of bugs. So the frequencies may be slightly different. That's the only complication.
So could you do that biofeedback scan on your pets like you would with yourself? I mean, you couldn't really put the stickers on your cat or anything, could you? Is there a way to do the biofeedback?
Yes, well, we've had a few people. I mean, we've been going for a long time, so we've been everywhere, man. And we've had people who have shaved their pets, and especially tumors in dogs. They've shaved the skin and made a good contact with the pads, and they've done biofeedback. And
Right.
the dogs, because they were unwell, they're just lying down, and they'd run the treatment sessions that way.
Yeah.
They're biofeedback, and then they run either contact mode or remote for the frequencies that the biofeedback found. So there's
That's
no reason
incredible.
why not, and that would be the way that we'd recommend it.
Wow, that is incredible. That is so good to hear. So then the other question I've been getting from people to ask you is that in the home, if you've got, say, a mold growing in your bathroom or something, I
Yes.
understand that you can set a frequency from the machine to kill the mold in your house. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Now, we've got quite a few pieces of equipment. There's no such thing as just Spooky 2. We've got contact mode, we've got remote, we've got plasma. And our plasma is amazing for mold because you can set up a plasma tube in a room and the frequencies travel quite far and wide, and it targets the mold. Now, mold
Wow.
is also susceptible to remote treatments. So you can get a sample or scrape off some of this yucky stuff,
Yeah.
place it in the sticker and put it inside the remote.
Yeah.
Any frequencies you send to that little sample goes to all the other spores of mold which came from the same parent.
It blows my mind, really, it does. It really blows my mind. So the last and final part I'd just like to cover for today, John, because we have covered everybody's questions, funnily enough.
Wow.
And then what I was thinking was we could perhaps come back again in the new year, and we could perhaps go into a bit more detail about the models that you have. You talked a little bit about scalar and plasma. And I was thinking today we would just give everyone like a general introduction. And then as they start sending me more of their questions, perhaps we could go into the different devices a bit more on our next chat, if that's okay with you.
That'll be great, yeah.
But the only thing I would just like to finish with today is, once you've got your machine and it's all in your house, what kind of support is available to people, so that if they're not very good with, say, IT, or they don't quite know what they're doing, you know, how would they get help and support?
You know, Michelle, a lot of people are like this because they're sick, they're unwell, they're not thinking straight because they're tired, they're not sleeping properly, they might be in pain. We have, it might, I believe it is a 24-hour support line, spooky2support.com. If you even go to the sales site, which is spooky2-more.com, and you just leave the page on for a little while, a little box comes up, which is the chat. Now you're actually chatting to a real live person who actually knows a terrific lot about spooky equipment. And so you can ask the questions of, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
We've set up, the spooky2support.com. We've got spooky2reviews.com. We have videos on YouTube to explain what to do when you first get your equipment in the box. It's in the mail, it's arrived. You open it up and you suddenly an information overload. Gosh, there's so much.
Yeah, yeah.
We know that
feel like that in the beginning.
Yeah.
The biggest hurdle I had was I didn't really understand that I had to do because I've explained it to everyone today, what you have to do first. The first thing is you have to get your information from your body into the machine, so the machine can see what's not in balance. Then once it knows that by doing a biofeedback scan, then it can tell you, then knows what frequencies it needs to send you so that you can feel better. And in order for it to reach you when it's sending it back to you to heal you, you just put some of your DNA into the machine so that it's sending it to your DNA constantly, wherever you are. You don't have to be sitting hooked up to the machine all day or anything like that. You just go about your life and you just have this machine running in the background. And I've seen some people that they've bought more than one machine so that they can have various different things going on all at the same time, perhaps other members of their family or friends or something like that. Yeah. And they have a whole setup.
Yeah, well, they call them spooky rigs. And I've got a rig in my home here. It's about 30 generators thumping away. Oh, that's nothing.
Incredible.
Spooky supports over 120 generators at once. 120 different people you can be treating at the same time.
That is incredible. Now, the other thing that people have said to me is that it runs on a Windows program. Now, luckily, I had an old laptop in my house that was too slow for anything that I do nowadays, like making videos and all the programs that we have on our computers. So it was just sitting in a cupboard. It had hardly been used because as soon as I bought it, it kind of was too slow for what I needed. But it was perfect for running my Spooky 2 machine. So it just sits in my lounge running that program constantly. So some people were sort of worried that they only had, say, an Apple computer. But what would you suggest in that instance? Would you suggest just buying a very cheap laptop, even maybe a second-hand one?
Oh, absolutely. The laptop has just died, so I can't. Well, for about 4 years, I was running on the slowest, cheapest, nastiest. You know, sometimes you have a laptop and it grows on you like a mold. You get to hate it because it's just too slow for anything useful. But it was still good for Spooky because Spooky runs quite fast.
Yeah, and this is what I did, John. This is exactly what I did. I had a computer That was too slow for anything that we need to do in our lives normally. But I just cleared everything off of it, everything that was on it, and I just loaded on the Spooky program, and it just runs that constantly in the background without any problem at all.
Yeah, well, this is what I do, and occasionally maybe one of my parents or my in-laws gets unwell, so I'd add an additional program for them. And I mean, my parents are 8,000 kilometers away, but I treat them.
It's incredible
because I've got their nails.
Yeah.
And my in-laws are a little bit closer. But yeah, I mean, it's good to me helping them is also helping me. I think that my good health and good fortune and everything, by good fortune I mean good luck, is largely by the way that I help other people. And so I'm only too happy to.
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally agree. So just to finish off for today, is there anything that you'd like to add that we haven't spoke about so far?
Well, we've covered quite a lot of ground, and I've gone on a few tangents, but I'd like to leave people with this thought. It's something I discovered, quite late, but is incredibly important, and that is to take control over your own health. You know, you go to registered medical and then fill the gap after that, orthodontists and everything. There are answers to your health problems. There are solutions. The products that we have are tailored to make your lives much better. There is a small learning curve. We've tried to make things as simple as possible because we want to have as many people as possible using it. But really, it's the best investment you can make is into your own health. You know, have you ever bought anything, and it could be something simple like a different type of cream, and you think, gosh, this is great, this is actually amazing, I want to tell everyone about it. Well, this is kind of like us with Spooky and our customers, where they try Spooky and think, hey, this is absolutely incredible, I want to tell my friends. Well, this is how we work. We don't really throw lots of money into marketing and stuff. We just, ride the crest of the wave. We want to help as many people as possible. And the best way that you can make your life better is to listen to people that have come better, had benefit, like Michelle, and thousands and thousands of answers. And if you don't believe me, go to spooky2reviews.com and read the thousands of people that have gained benefit from Spooky. And we're talking about people that have been told they're going to die, and there's this MRI scan showing this tumor 4 centimeters in diameter, and these people going for another scan 2 months later, and there's suddenly nothing there, or maybe something the size of a pea.
Yeah,
these incredible stories come regularly. And when we work, we think, this is work, that's not work, this is fun. We're actually making people, so making hundreds and thousands having a life again.
Isn't that incredible? Well, we all thank you for that, John, honestly, because you're right. When you start working with these energies, these rifing energies, I mean, you can just feel the difference. I can definitely feel the difference, to the point that if the machine switches off for any reason, I know it's switched off. I know, because the elevated feeling of energy that it gives you when it's on, I can feel the difference. So as you said, once you start getting one of these machines, you want to be sort of telling everybody about it. So I'm hoping that everybody today will be very excited to hear everything we've had to say. And I just wanted to add that you do actually have a Facebook group. I didn't know if you know about your own Facebook group to do with your machines, but lots of people discuss questions and answers and solutions in your Facebook group as well. And just one last question before we finish.
Yes.
Do you ship all over the world?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay.
Absolutely. There's not one house that we don't deliver to.
That's amazing. Well, John, it's been so lovely to speak to you today.
Oh, the thrill, it's been very enjoyable for me to be on your show. I've heard wonderful things, and wow, now I've finally made it onto your show. Terrific.
Well, I'm hoping that you'll be able to come back in the new year when we have perhaps some more questions come through from people that have got their equipment, and then we can perhaps go to the next level a little bit with some more detailed answers, because then people will be able to ask when they've got their equipment right in front of them and see what they need to know. And
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
then you can tell us perhaps on our next meeting the different models that are available and what the differences are perhaps between them. But it's been so lovely.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. It's all mine.
Yeah.
I was so surprised that you discovered the anti-aging programs on Spooky. It was really hard. We hide that one because we realise it's so everyone would want it. But I use supplements. It's called biohacking. Supplements that make you young, give you the energy, and it's not just looking young, but it is truly being young, because it lengthens the telomerase of your DNA. And I thought one day, why don't I write a program with all these things that I take? And so I did. And you discovered them, and they've only been out for a few weeks.
Like I said to you, John, I'm actually 104. But a few weeks of using Spooky, and no, I mean, in all seriousness now, it has really helped me. And I'm just, what I'm so excited about with it is that there's just so many programs in there that you can try, that it's like every day I've got my biofeedback scan, but then I can add in something for that day. So if I haven't been sleeping very well the night before, I could add in today that I would like to sleep better, or I could add in, the situation that's going on right now. Or, if someone has, some people are quite concerned at the moment because their relatives might have gone and had one of these, and they're concerned if they're going to be affected perhaps by side effects. So you could run the program for, say, graphene oxide or something like that. So the whole thing is just totally amazing. And I can't wait to come back and speak to you again next year.
Wonderful. Thank you again for inviting me.
Yeah. So see you again very soon, John.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.